Hello everyone, so this video is to talk about a new challenge that I found. Then of course when I see a challenge I have to do it, right? So yeah, basically I was watching videos and I saw this hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, something like that, and there was a round in 2024, 2025. It's about to finish. I guess maybe that's why I saw videos about it. But there is a new round in 2025, 2026, which starts on the 1st of July. And I thought to myself, I have to join. So that's what this video is about. So this challenge is created by QWERTY, and I will link the original video down below explaining all the rules and all of the challenges and everything for a little bit more of a context. But I'm going to go, there is a bingo board and I'm going to go through every single thing on this bingo board because the objective is to do the complete thing, not just a line or whatever. So I'm going to go through all of the things and talk a little bit about my plans about each of them. And also I would like to know, I'm thinking about maybe vlogging it, but I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Maybe wrap-ups every quarter of the year, seeing how I'm doing and stuff like that. You let me know. But before I go through the bingo board itself, it's good to also mention that it's a hard challenge, as the name will suggest. So each square of the board is not only one book, it's like several things, so it's kind of hard, but at the same time the prompts are general enough that there's a lot of things that you can fit into them, and there are three rules. There are a few rules. No DNFs. I think that's fair. Also, in principle, that last year they said there was no rereads. This year it's like every time 10 books that you read, you get a reread for free. I'm kind of ignoring this. I'm going to include a few rereads here just because I'm planning to reread some things and I just don't want those to go to waste. And I'm assuming that I'm going to read more than 40-50 books for this, so I will eventually get to that balance. That's my assumption. And there is also another rule that you can only double up twice. So like you can only use one book for 2 prompts, not for more than that. So yeah, those are the rules. Again, like the reread part, I'm like loosely considering. The other two I'm considering more thoroughly. So I have created the Google Sheets thing to help me track. I know that the challenge comes with one itself, but it's too complicated for me. I didn't like it. Didn't look very obvious for me how to use it or how to track things, and it was too complicated, so I made my own. It's not very aesthetically pleasing, but it does what I needed to do, so we're gonna roll with it. So as you can see in the screen now, this is the bingo board, and it has 25 squares. So the first square is by the hundreds, and it's basically is about reading a book with around 100 pages, 200 pages, 300 pages, extra 100 every time, and until 700 pages. And I'm taking this as 100 pages. It means 100, 150, 170, something that starts with 100 and so forth. And as you can see here, I have put some suggestions of things that I might read for the different things. I went through my TBR and I saw if there was anything that fitted in this kind of ranges, and for 200 and 300 I had too many options, so I'll just put them here whenever they don't fit for other prompts. That's the plan. The 500 pages, the only one that I had in my TBR that could fit this was Silverborn by Jessica Townsend, which is 590 something according to Storygraph. But since it was almost 600, I felt that I would prefer to use something that is closer to 500 if I can. So this is the first challenge. I haven't put anything down very strictly because I think a lot of books can fit for this, and I'm not too worried about this one. I think the worst that can happen is that I reach the last couple of months of the challenge and I haven't I haven't read one that is 500 pages, so I will go and search for something I'm interested in around 500 pages. But I think it's fine. This one is very doable. Then the next square in the board is as many as you can in 24 hours, and this one, in the previous one, it was like 3 books in 24 hours, and here it's a bit more relaxed, and it's basically take a day, or like from when you wake up until you go to sleep, to read as much as you can and make the conscious effort to read as much as you can. The ideal target would be to read 3 books, but obviously not everybody can. So as far as you read 1 book, it's fine. And so I have put here 3 books, but I am expecting that maximum I will be able to read 1 because I have a child that needs me. So yeah, probably it will be 1, but that's still okay, and I can still count it for the challenge and everything's fine. And I don't have anything down for this because any book will work as long as I read it in 24 hours. It will probably be a short one, but that's part of the challenge, right? The third square is subgenre. So in this square, you're supposed to choose a genre, and then you choose 6 subgenre of that main genre, and you read a book for each. And the genre that I chose is literary because that's the majority of the books I read, and the possible subgenres in this category were contemporary, that I found on the internet, that were like suggested as subgenres of literary, a contemporary, historical fiction, experimental, magical realism, speculative fiction, coming of age, and autofiction. Those are 7, so I can leave 1 out. I'm not sure if historical fiction counts as literary. Some of them are literary, some of them are not, but it's true that there are a lot of literary that are also historical. So we will see. These are the kind of subgenres that I found, and we will see if I fill them all, or which ones I fill. But again, this is something that I read fairly often, so I'm not super worried that I'm not gonna find a book that fits in one of the subgenres. I'll just fit things as I see, and then again, if when there are a couple of months left of the challenge, I realize I'm missing 1 subgenre, I'll just add a book to try to finish the challenge. The next one, it was a little bit harder for me, is the series Stairway. And what this one basically means is that you have to read a standalone, a duology, a trilogy, and a quadrilogy of more. I don't normally read series, so this was a little bit of a challenge for me. However, I am in a point in my life in which I'm sometimes craving fantasy, so I decide this is a good time to embrace the fact that fantasy does normally come in series, but also to embrace the thing that I said before, rereads count if you want to. I'm just gonna put that out there. Now, I haven't put anything for the standalone because 90% of the books that I read are standalones, so I'm not worried about that. The duology, I'm not actually sure if it's going to be a duology, but I have heard so many good things about The Will of the Many that I want to read it. And the second book is coming out this year, I think. So there will be 2 books out. Even if it's not a duology, there are only 2 books out. So does that count? I think so. Trilogy, I put Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. I have read the Assassin's Apprentice like before, but actually I think it was probably 2015 or something, and rereads don't count if it has been more than 10 years. So there you go. I didn't love it. I thought it was okay, that's why I didn't quite continue with the series. But yeah, I'm still curious. There's so much hype about Drawing Hope, so I'm gonna try again. And hopefully, people say that the Shape of Magic trilogy is the better one, and that's the second one. So after these 3 goes that. So maybe I will get there eventually. And then for a quadrilogy, again, I don't think this is a quadrilogy, and I have read some of these books before, but yeah, I don't know any other series that will fit for this. and I want to read this. I was actually planning to read this anyway, so it's the Nevermore series. The 4th book is coming out, I think here it's coming out in June, or it has just come out. It's like very new. So I wanted to read that one, but I have not, like, when I read the other ones was like 4 or 5 years ago, when they came out. So I think it makes sense for me to reread the first 3 and then there are 4, and it counts as a quadrilogy because I read 4 books for a series, even if there's going to be more books after these ones, but the 3 of those will be rereads, so we're just gonna ignore that for now. Then the next square on the board, I think it's also a pretty easy one for me, as award season, and it basically means pick a book award and read 7 books in total, and they have to be at least one of each for each category of like steps. So long list, short list, winner, and then like fill in the other 4 books in whichever books you want basically. And I do this fairly often, like I read big chunks of prizes. I have done that less in recent years, but I think the prize that I follow the most closely at the moment is the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. I have read probably 8 to 10 of the books this year, and I read all of the books last year. So I'm sure when it comes around next year, I will want to read at least 7 of them. And I think one of the habits I'm getting into is to read the whole shortlist for the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. There has only been 2 years, but they have never disappointed. So that's a habit I'm getting into. So those are already 6 books, and it will be a winner and shortlist. And then I only have to read 1 more book, which I would probably do anyway. So I'm going to save this prompt for when the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction comes out, because I'm pretty sure that this will be filled by that prize with no problem. Then if you go to the second row, the next one is TBR Game. Am I cheating on this one? Maybe, but this is one of the ones that I'm planning to tackle the earliest. So basically there's many people that have TBR games, and the idea is you choose one, you play it, the TBR you get is what you have to read. I don't know if this counts as a TBR game, but I have been enjoying the Shelf It or Scrap It vlogs from Becca and the Books. She reads completely different things from what I read, but I really find her very calming and enjoyable, and I like the way she talks, and I like the original ideas she comes out with, so I admire her as a creator quite a lot, and I really enjoy her vlogs. So the Shelf It or Scrap It vlogs are really interesting for me, and I have enjoyed them, and they have a game element to them, right? So what she does is she has these piles of books on her floor, and every month she chooses a number of them through a number generator, and then she reads those, and when she reads those, if she likes them, she has to shelf them, but because her shelves are full, she has to wiggle the room that she has and maybe read a book that isn't her shelf to make space for the one that she just read, and it can have like a waterfall effect. And this year she had a rule that she was going to read as many books as she hauled the previous month, and those are the rules that I'm going to follow. So I'm just gonna do the same thing that she does. It's, again, I'm not sure it's a game, but it has a game element to it, and honestly it benefits me because I have very different buying problems than she does. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm going to next month on July I'm going to do this, and so far in June I have only bought 1 book, which was for my book club, and I hope I don't buy anymore, but if I buy it's probably going to be 1, maybe 2. So I'm going to take the number of books that I buy this month, and I'm going to get a random number generator, and I'm going to generate a number to pick up something from my physical TBR. Now I don't have stocks, but I have a physical TBR, so I'm just gonna choose from there and read that book, and then as she does, fit it in my shelves. Again, I do have some wiggle space in my shelves, so I'm not expected to have to read everything in my shelves has been read, but if I don't have the space, then I will have to unhold something, and we will go into that game. But my expectation is that if I do this in July, I will have to read one book. I will have a random number generator that will pick a book from my physical TBR. I will read that, and then I will shelve it, and that will be my version of Solve It or Scrap It, because I don't have that many books, so that probably will fit in my shelves, and or not, because I didn't like it, and that's it. So I mean, again, I might be cheating a little bit with this, but I'm going to just not make my life hard for myself. So I don't think this is going to be a problem, and again, I do have books to fill this because the random number generator would choose for me. Okay, so that's for the TBR game. Then the next square is the last 10 years, and that means to read a book from 2015, 16, 17, 18 until 2025, basically. It's 11 books because, yeah, that's how numbers work. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be too problematic either. I have put here some planned books that I have already in my TBR that are for some of these years. I don't have any books that fit 2020 and up in my TBR currently, or at least not ones that are not reads or are fitting for other things better. I think this will have probably a few years that I don't naturally complete, but then I will just find books for those years and I will read those books. So again, I'm not super worried about this one. It's one that it will organically fill until it reaches the point in which I make it a priority. So again, not very worried about this one. We will see how it organically gets filled until I have to force a few squares. The next one though, it's one that I do need help with, and this is all the adaptation. Read or watch or both the original or adaptation of the following media: modern book retelling or of a classic, musical, graphic novel, comic, play, TV show, web series, animation, and movie. I don't watch movies, I don't watch TV shows. I'm not in the know of these things. So if you have any suggestions for this, any suggestion at all, please let me know, because this one is completely blank, because I have no idea what I can read for this. I mean, the only thing I could think of is to read either Matilda or Wicked for the musical, but I have already read both of those books and I don't want to reread them, so I don't know what else can I do. Let me know what you think, because I don't know. Then the next square is disability rep, and this one is another one that I will not mind to have help with. So this one is to read 5 books with protagonists with different disabilities, and in the things I read there are sometimes disabled characters here and there, but it's not a very prominent thing that comes up in my books, just because I'm probably more interested in other topics. Not that disability is not important and I don't care about disabled people having rights and stuff like that. It's just like it's not a cause that is natural for me to join. So yeah, anyway, I do sometimes read things that have disability on them, and when I do, I will put them here. But this is one that I probably will end up needing to find books eventually to fill these prompts. So if you have any recommendations of books with disabilities that you think that I will love, let me know, because I would love to have the help. Then the next is Heritage Month, and it goes through the different Heritages months and just read a book for like Black History Month, Arab Heritage Month, Indigenous Heritage Month, Women's Histories Month, Jewish Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, LGBTQ+, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage, and Disability Pride. I think this is fairly US centric, all these month thingies, because yeah, I mean, they exist in other places, but I think Americans are often the ones that are like the most into these things. And also like Hispanic Heritage Month for me is very problematic, I think, because is something from Spain Hispanic? Not in the sense that this means it, but I guess like we do call ourselves Hispanics sometimes, so you know what I mean? Like this is a little bit problematic. I don't love these prompts, but anyway, I think I am taking this as Black, Arab, Indigenous, Women's, South American, Jewish, whatever, and I think I will read from most of these things as the month goes on. Also, like I feel like this overlaps with another thing that is a person of color kind of thing that I also have problems with that, but we will get that when that comes. But yeah, I will feel this, and probably I will have a few of them left when things naturally fill in. So I will in the later months probably take a look and see which things I can fit where. If you have recommendations, let me know, because I'm not sure exactly what this. Then number 11 is one that I think I'm going to fill in very easily just by naturally reading, because this is an area of like diversity that I'm very tuned into, and that is to read 5 books that were translated from 5 different languages. I do this every year without trying, so I'm sure this is not going to be a problem for me. Then the next one, similar, Around the World. Wait, this is not loading? There you go. Around the World is to read a book set, or the author is from each different continent: North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And it says that as a bonus you can also do Antarctica. I did that with my Read the World challenge. It was pretty difficult to find things from Antarctica, and I'm not going to do that again, I don't think. But yeah, this I think it's again something that I naturally tend to do every year, so I don't think this is going to need me to go out of my way to make this happen. And the next one is The Bigger Rainbow, and that's referring to the rainbow that they had last year, and they made it even longer. So basically it's to read a book with covers of these colors: red, orange, yellow, green, teal, light blue, blue, purple, pink, black, white, gold or silver, and more than 7 colors. Again, with similar to other prompts, I would fill this as I go through the year. I do think that some of these colors might be problematic. I don't think I read a lot of pink books, for example, or teal books or gold books. I don't think that's my kind of wheelhouse in which covers have those colors, but I think a lot of these will be naturally filled again, and whenever I need something, I will see at some point when the other challenges have been fulfilled what I have left on this, and I will find a book that fits the prompts. But I don't think it will be difficult. I just think it will be it will not be something that happens naturally. The next one says make a quote with books, and again, this one I tried to make my life as easy as I could for myself. So I don't have favorite quotes. Like sometimes I read them like, oh, that's so smart, that's so funny, but I never write them down and I never remember them. So I just Google search some quotes, and the one that I found that I decided to go for is "So It Goes" by Corbanegor in Slaughterhouse 5. It always kind of ends and starts like "So it goes." It's 3 words, so that means 3 books, one with the word "so", one of the word "eats", and so one with the word "goes", which don't seem like words that would be too difficult to find in titles of books. So that's why I went with this, not only because it's very short, but also because those words are simple and general enough that it should not be too hard to find books with them in the title. With that said, there's nothing in my current TBR that has those words in the title. So if you know of any books that have those words in the title that you think I'll like, let me know. But yeah, that's how I'm going to go with this one. We will see what I find. This one is one that I probably, when I finish the ones that are like the low-hanging fruit, this one is the next one that I will do, because even though I don't have any books in my TBR, it's only 3 books, and it's something that seems like I could do a vlog for or something to complete this. So we will see. Then the next prompt is going to be a problem for me, and it's spooky creatures. So you have to read a book that fits each of these things. I don't read fantasy very often, and I don't read paranormal, and this is gonna be difficult. So there is vampires, shifters, magic users, fae folk, spirits, merfolk, zombies, and other creatures. I wrote down Morrigan Crow because there are a few like dragons and magic on it, so it can fit. A couple of those books can fit for a couple of these prompts. But other than that, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I guess I could fill a couple more of them with like the other fantasy I've put down, like the Robin Hoods and stuff. But I'm not super confident on this, especially things like vampires and zombies. I don't think I've ever read a book with vampires or zombies in it. Maybe if you count like The Girl with All the Gifts as zombies, but I didn't read that. I saw the movie, so I don't know. Also shifters and fae folk. Spirits maybe, merfolk maybe. I have read a couple of things with them, like maybe merfolk. I can do the Mermaid of Black Conch. Maybe I can read that. But yeah, for the other ones, I don't know. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. The next one is Become the Avatar, and this is to read a book for each of these things. And the elements are water, earth, fire, and air, and they have to have this on the cover or the title. And so I went through my TBR and I actually found 4 books for this. So for the water, I have the Covenant of Water. For earth, I have the Always, which has like mountains, like very earthy looking mountains. For fire, I found Atstuparia, which has like those little demons and some fire behind them. And then air, I put the Factory because it has smoke coming out of something. And that kind of feels like air, like visible air. So this is actually easier than I thought it was gonna be. And I probably will do this in like, make its own little challenge out of it, because I already have the books, and there are ones that are in my TBR, but they were not like the most prioritized ones. So probably I can do something about that. This feels fine with me. Then the next prompt is any readathon, and basically the prompt for this is to participate in any readathon and complete all the prompts. And this is something that I also kind of follow. I don't do many readathons anymore. I do the NonFiction November, but I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I do the Springathon, but also it has not been super. It has been a bit up and down with that one. And the one that I know that's happening for sure that I sometimes do is the Magical Readathon, and that is a very complicated readathon, and there are a lot of prompts, but you're supposed to like choose a character and then do the prompts that follow like that character, which is the way I'm planning to like participate on this, because I normally do that. I don't like vlog it or anything, but I just find it funny to fit things to prompts. There's also Shorty September that I could do, but yeah, those prompts don't always fit with my reading style, so I don't know. I think Magical Readathon gives enough space to do whatever you want with it, so I probably will choose that one, but we will see. Maybe I will change it when time comes, but that's, I have to know the prompt for that, so we'll. The next one is Animals Are Better, and this one I probably also need some help with. So the prompt is to read a book that features one of these varieties in some way, in the cover or in the story. And that's house pets, exotic pets, farm animals, wild animals, and zoo animals. I don't know what you call wild animals in the Netherlands, probably birds, because that's kind of like the only wild thing here. But yeah, this is a little bit of a murky definition, because you could say that a lion is a zoo animal but also a wild animal, and some people have them as exotic pets. I don't know. We will see how we go with this one. I think a couple of those might just naturally be filled by themselves, but I don't think this is going to be a very organic one for me to fill. So if you have any recommendations, I would love to know. The next square is Even Queer Alphabet, and again it's about the queer books from last year, and they are expanding on the type of queerness that exists. So it's about read a book with a main character that is each of these things. So a gay, lesbian, bi or pan, trans, intersex, asexual, polyamory, non-binary, and gender fluid. I think gay and lesbian are going to be fairly easy and fine. Even trans, I have a couple of ideas of things I can do with that. The other ones, I have read some books that fit some of those things in my life and without prompts, but they're not something that I know about or I find easily. Well, I have a Gabriela Wiener in my shelves, and I know that she is polyamorous, so maybe her book is also polyamorous, but maybe not. You know, it's difficult. So if you have any recommendations for this, I would love to know, because this one is one that is a little bit tricky for me. Also, it's one of those things that it's kind of tricky to know what the main character is before you read the book. So if you have recommendations, please let me know. I would love that. Then the next prompt is your favorite hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, version 1 prompt. So go to the last year's challenge and choose a prompt basically. And I chose the prompt read a book with a recipe in it and make a recipe, not only because it's one of the few prompts that only requires you to read one book, but also because I like the idea of finding a literary book that has a recipe and then just making the recipe. And it is relatively difficult to find a book to fit this, but it is a relatively easy prompt to, once you have the book, make it happen. And I did do some research, and I found that sweet bean paste has recipes on it, I believe, and it's in my library. I don't know if I'm not going to love those recipes, because it's like Japanese sweets and those are not always my favorite, but I'm gonna try, and I think it's going to be a very cute thing to do. So, and it's a very short book, so I think this is probably one of the ones that I'll do relatively soon, and I'm excited about it actually. Then the next challenge is the BIPOC challenge, which is the one I was talking about before. It's read 10 books written by 10 different authors from backgrounds that differ from your own. And that is very broad, and that is very unclear, I would say, what backgrounds mean. I find this conversation very weird and uncomfortable, not because I find talking about race and ethnicity uncomfortable, but the way people talk about it, as if these are exotic creatures, and like how people define what is person of color or not a person of color, and the term person of color, which divides the world into white and non-white, basically. It's like a more politically correct way to say non-white. I find all of that very cringy. So I will see how I define this and how I do this. I don't think it's gonna be problematic for me because I read a lot of international authors and those have different backgrounds from me. So I guess that's not difficult to do, I think. But I don't know, like if I read let's say an African author and then I read an African American author, are those two different backgrounds or are the same background? Because race wise are similar, but ethnic wise, like cultural wise, are very different. So again, yeah, I'll struggle with this when it comes to it, but we will see how I interpret this in time. I don't think it's going to be difficult to define different backgrounds or whatever. Also, like if you choose someone from South America, or like if you choose someone from South Africa and someone from West Africa, they have completely different cultures. So is that different backgrounds? Yeah, we will see. The next prompt is new releases, and that means to read a book released within 60 days of its publication, before or after. And this last year it was like you have to read a book released in July, and in August you will read a book that was released in August, but now they have given a little bit more wiggle room. I did go to NetGalley when I saw this prompt and asked for some review copies of things based on their publication date, trying to make once every month, and I did get some of them, so that's good. I have some options for at least the first few months, and then we will see. I guess as the month progresses, I will either find things that I'm interested in, or I will just browse NetGalley to find something that fits the prompt. If you know any new releases that you think I like, let me know. Maybe I can include them here. But yeah, this is something that I will have to just keep up with every month, I think, and it will not be overwhelming, hopefully. We will see. Then the next prompt is challenge yourself, and that is to choose a challenge that you want to achieve by yourself. And for this I have chosen to do something that I'm already doing, is to read my ancient TBR. So I'm trying to read in 2025 all of the books that I had before 2025. I have 8 left at the moment I'm talking to you, so that's why there are 8 in this list. But I might read, it's not the very end of June yet, so I might read 1 or 2 more of these before, so I might have only like 6 or 7 to read. It depends a little bit on how many of them I read before the challenge starts on the 1st of July. But yeah, that's basically just read my ancient TBR, which is something I do every year, and this year I'm doing pretty well with it, so I have very few books and I have no question that I'm going to achieve this, so I'm not worried about this one. The next one is a non-fiction challenge, and it's to read 5 non-fiction books of 5 different topics. Again, not very worried about this. I have been reading so much non-fiction this year of so many different things, and I'm going to read the shortlist for the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction, so that in itself is probably enough to fill this in, and I'm sure I will fill it even before that, so this one is not a problem for me, I think. And then the last one was to read books that are recommended by Q, which is the creator of the challenge. and each of these forms, so 3 different forms: cozy mini reviews, full reading blogs, and shorts. Now I have looked at her page, and it's not things that I read very often, but I did manage to find 3 books that I think I'm going to be able to enjoy. And again, these are things that I've seen in the thumbnails. I haven't clicked on the video, so maybe they are not things that she loved, but they are things that are on the thumbnail, so I'm gonna take them. So for a cozy mini review, I found Test of the Emerald Sea, and I think that was actually a wrap-up because I couldn't find any mini reviews that I actually wanted to read. And then in a full reading blog, I found Part of Your World by Agustín Jiménez, which is a romance, which I never read, but I have heard good things about this particular one, and from all the romances out there, this one sounds like maybe it has something that I can enjoy. Like, I think that the concept of this book on a movie I will enjoy, so let's hope that in a book I also enjoy. And then in a short, I saw All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which is something I have been interested in reading for a long time, and I have heard many people be happy about and rave about. So that one I was pretty confident when I put it in my list. So those are the 3 things that I decided to choose for this. I do think that this is probably one of the ones that I'm going to tackle earlier rather than later, because I have a list of books that I want to tackle, and also because they are books that I would otherwise not pick up. So it makes sense for me to make like a mini challenge out of this rather than something that I do throughout the year, because there are only 3 books, because they are books that I would not have picked up otherwise. I think that makes sense for me to make it into like its own little thing. And those are all the prompts. So as you can see, you can understand maybe now why it's the hardest challenge you'll ever do kind of thing. There are a lot of challenges and there's a lot of books per challenge. But honestly, like after going through this in detail, it feels relatively doable, because some of the prompts only need 1 book. Like there are I think 2 or 3 in which a book only is fine. And there are a lot of prompts that I think maybe for other people are harder, but for me, I feel like they are very organic for me to do these things, like Around the World or the Translation Challenge, or like the subgenre thing. I think those are things that happen even if I don't try. So I think a few of these at least will just be completed by themselves. So yeah, we will see how I do. Again, let me know if you want me to vlog it or you want me to do some sort of wrap up or something like that, to see how I'm doing every so often. But yeah, I'm excited. It's always exciting at the beginning of a challenge, and then it always gets stressful at some point. But right now I'm excited, so I'm going to embrace that. And as I said, I'm already planning on how I'm going to start with this. I think the first 3-4 months I'm going to like tackle the easier challenges to do, and then when I'm done with those, I'll probably just like pick 1 challenge or 2 every time and try to fill in the prompts that are left over from that challenge. So yeah, let's see how we go. Let me know if you're participating,